Yo guys, what is up? No Glasses Keezy here. Yeah, welcome back to the channel. We were gonna do a breakdown, but someone better, obviously, and has way more time and is just better than me at everything, has done it. So instead of breaking this down the way I did on my other episode 4 breakdown, which you guys should go check out, we're gonna watch a breakdown in episode 5 WandaVision breakdown. Spoiler alert, yes, this will have spoilers, obviously. If you guys haven't watched episode 5 of WandaVision, what are you guys doing? This show was getting fucking crazy. Before we get into it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and yeah, please hit that subscribe button. I can't say it enough. We're trying to hit 1K before the end of this year. We need to get monetized. Alright, let's get right into it. Here we go. This is going to be a long one.
Okay, so episode 4 ended with us finding out that Scarlet Witch was doing a weekend at Wanda's with Vision's dead corpse. It was a mind-blowing moment that set her up as the big bad, but throughout the season there's been several clues that something more sinister is going on behind the scenes. We're going to be breaking it all down, but as always, welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka the guy who Jimmy woos you with my card tricks. Now let's get into the biggity breakdown.
His accent's hilarious.
Now, as always, things are time coded below if you want to skip ahead, but as is usual with our videos, we're going to be discussing some key theories up top. If you've been keeping up to date with the behind the scenes stuff on the show, then you'll know that showrunner Jack Schaefer revealed that Wandavision actually takes place almost immediately after Endgame and before the events of Far From Home. If you checked out our video last week, then you'll have seen us discussing an interview with Paul Bettany,
That's so
in which
weird to
he revealed
me.
that Endgame originally had a post-credits scene that set up the events of the show. It was supposed to close out with Wanda going to see Vision's body, which was being kept in a drawer, and we can see why this was cut, as it sort of happens in the episode at one point. Vision actually didn't want to be brought back to life, but Wanda doing this shows that she has completely
that was
broken
crazy.
his trust. We now know for definite that he's being puppeted around by her, and just like me, he's a guy who prefers it no strings attached. You haven't that? Now the show at this point is tying in tightly with the graphic novel Vision and the
Dude,
Scarlet
his
Witch,
freaking puns
which
and shit are
followed the
so
pair as they
corny.
moved to the suburbs of New Jersey and had children together. Released in
They're good
1985,
cringy.
it heavily inspires this entry, and similar to the show, it also carries the aesthetic that the pair magically have children together. Now, whilst Vision was never dead at any point during the book, it does feature the Grim Reaper quite heavily, whose helmet also popped up in episode
Yes.
2. He has the power to bring back people from the dead, and if the part about Wanda taking Viz from the slab to the pad is true, then it could indeed be what's going on. Though our theories change every week, eh? At least we're not repeating ourselves, I suppose. Now, speaking of that intro, Agnes refers to herself as Auntie in this entry, which could be a callback to the advert for Kitty Litter that was called Auntie A's. I guess she would be good at advertising that, because like Kitty Litter, she's full of shit.
Oh my God.
No, but Agnes definitely has her eyes on the kids in this episode, and after watching it, I think it's starting to become clear that they're the main prize that she's after. In case you don't know, in the comics, Billy and Tommy grow up to become the mutants Wiccan and Speed, and thus possessing these could help her to usher in 1,000 years of darkness like 2020 all over again. Now, just analysing her even further, Christopher Cantero Davidson actually sent me a really interesting email which discussed how the location of the character constantly keeps changing, and thus it is possible that she doesn't actually live in Westview at all. In the first episode, when introducing herself, she tells Wanda that she lives on the right, not your right, her right. However, in episode 3 we discover that Herb actually lives on the left, and beyond that is Dottie's, which we see in episode 2. This entry also has some ambiguity, but there are clues laced throughout that we'll be discussing in just a
Oh,
bit.
that is
Now, due
that.
to her
Wow,
not
I
having
didn't
ID
know
in
that.
episode 4, it is possible that, like Geraldine,
It's
she's
actually
not from
super
around
interesting.
here, and she simply casts blame on Monica to draw attention away from her. As one of history's most hated figures, Goebbels said, "Accuse the other side of that of which you are guilty," and this blame shifting could have been done to make her fly completely under the radar. Now, as for the episode itself, it pulls from several sitcoms that span the 80s and 90s, including Full House, Family Ties, Growing Pains, and Family Matters.
Yeah.
The latter is because Urkel had suspenders, which we see Wanda rocking at one point, and these were also present in Mork and Mindy, another 80s sitcom which showcased fashion at the time. Family Ties is mainly because of the way that the lighting is used to illuminate the set, and Growing Pains has one of the most obscure references in the entire show. During the series, there was a famous couch that had a single blue cushion on it, and this one on its own also appears in
That's
the
actually
episode
pretty
at one
cool.
point. Full House is also quite a meta joke, as that actually featured Elizabeth Olsen's real-life sisters, Mary-Kate and Ashley, both of which are twins. I know I don't have to say that for some of you, but I keep forgetting that some of my audience have just started their 20s.
She's so much
and
taller
they weren't
than
born
them.
until 2000 and
Holy
2001,
shit. Like
which makes
way
me feel
taller.
very old.
Obviously, she's probably
Anyway,
wearing heels,
this
but like
idea of
still.
twins growing up will clearly be adopted for the show too, as we watch Billy and Tommy mature, making this a very fourth wall breaking moment. So we have Elizabeth Olsen starring as Wanda, who's raising twins, whilst satirizing the show Full House, which starred Olsen's real life sisters being raised as twins. What? Anyway, that's the main aesthetic of the episode, but let me know if there's any deeper cuts below.
Yo, I couldn't believe it. I legit
We pick
couldn't.
up with the pair trying to get the two babies to fall asleep, and Vision remarks that he tried reading Charles Darwin's The Descent of Man to Billy, but it made him cry even harder. In this book, Darwin detailed that men evolved from apes, and this idea of evolution is something that's heavily laced throughout Mutants and the X-Men, one of which appears at the end of the entry.
Yep.
Wanda is unable to put the kids back to sleep, and clearly her powers are limited much in the same way that they were with the Stork. Though this episode really tries to hammer home that she's the one doing everything, the fact that she has amnesia over what's happened makes me think that she isn't.
Yeah,
There's
me
very
neither.
much this idea of control being laced throughout the show, not only in Vision, but the residents of Westview themselves. This could extend to Wanda, who may also have someone manipulating her. I think this could clearly be Auntie Agnes, who shows up not too long after this moment. She's clearly aware that they are in a show, and actually seems to be slightly comfortable with it, rather than terrified like the rest of the town. If you've been watching our videos, you'll know that we've theorized that she's actually Agatha Harkness, and the character says she has a couple of tricks up her sleeves, which could be a reference to her magical abilities. The two times that the children
I think we can
grow,
confidently
Agnes
say
is
that's her
present,
now.
and it could actually be her who is the one doing it. It almost happens with the death of Sparky the dog, but Wanda talks them out of aging up, which may be against Agnes's wishes, who wants them for herself. She also mentions Ralph again, and the character has definitely become similar to Frasier's Maris Crane, as we hear about them almost every episode, but never actually see them. I do think that Ralph is one of the big villains.
What the
that will
fuck
be
is this
revealed down
picture?
the line, but obviously, let me know your
What the
theories
fuck?
below. Cut to the
Holy.
title sequence, and this feels like a combination of family ties and growing pains.
Yes, that's
The first
exactly
is
how
because
it
of the
feels.
illustration that appears to outline the family, and the latter due to the photographs and theme song. It's hilariously cheesy in both its design and the song in the background that descends into just rambling by the end of it. In it, we also see Vision as a baby, which
That
we
shit
know was never
caught
the
me
case,
so off
and this
guard.
of course plays upon the idea that the children grew up without really having a childhood. There's also real photos of Elizabeth Olsen as a teen in there, and I just think it's the funniest intro so far. Cut to Monica being scanned after her accident last week, and she states that she felt grief in the hex, and relates to this on a number of levels due to losing her mother. Now the readings taken of her are blank, and this is likely because due to her being tossed through the hex membrane whilst being covered in Wanda's powers that they have moulded into her. In the comics, Monica goes on to become a superhero known as Photon, who possesses several abilities that we've already seen in the hex itself. These include shapeshifting, phasing through matter, and of course flight. I think that this confirms that she is indeed a metahuman now, and going forward to Captain Marvel 2, we will likely see her full skill set. We go to Sword holding a briefing in which acting director Haywood clearly states that Wanda is the issue. They go through her
Bro,
history,
he's
including
too
her
sus,
volunteering
yo.
for Hydra,
I called it,
which
yo.
anyone
He's
says
too
it's an
sus.
oversimplification of the events, but yes, that's what happened. I kind of feel like this line might be a callback to Mission Impossible, in which Ethan Hunt says something similar, and we all know Jimmy loves secret agents and so on, so meh, we're out here reaching again. Now something that's quite strange is that he says Wanda doesn't actually have a nickname, which I hadn't actually thought about.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know she's called Scarlet Witch, so
Right.
she may actually end up getting this moniker in the season, as we know that she does dress in the classic costume at one point. Now,
Oh
Monica
yeah,
does
she
go
might
to
go by the
Wanda's
name.
defense
I'm a
and says
Scarlet
that she
Witch,
could
right?
be
That would
doing a
actually
lot
be
worse,
interesting.
but this is silenced by the footage of her storming the Sword facility. What's interesting here is that it looks like Sword are actually experimenting on Vision, and there are several people in lab coats. They may have been taking him apart under Haywood's orders.
Oh, they were.
And if we look at
100%.
things from another angle, Wanda could have been saving her dead husband from being weaponized by them.
Yes.
They know about Vision's will, which states that he didn't want to be made into one, so clearly they were paying close attention to him. A big question that still remains though is how he managed to come back to life, and as mentioned earlier, this may be the Grim Reaper. We go back to the show and see that
I would have loved if Sparky went green. I'm just saying, Marvel, if you could have just made him green somehow, I would have loved it, but come on.
Billy and Tommy have found a dog, which ends up being called Sparky. This is actually a callback to
Look,
Vision
they
graphic novel
freaking
by Tom King, in which
put it up
Vision
here.
and his family had a synthezoid one of the same name. Sadly, the pup passes away later in the episode after eating from Agnes's poisonous bush, and I swear that's not an innuendo, but I am very immature. Although Wanda doesn't resurrect him, he could still come back to life in this form, though we'll just have to wait and see. Vision reads a newspaper, and like all the other ones, its headline is very mundane, depicting a local homeowner who makes innovating recipes. This of course carries the notion that nothing bad ever happens in Westview, and that the media don't make things up to keep people scared. It's the perfect place to live. Agnes arrives and Wanda doesn't mind showing her powers in front of her, perhaps highlighting that she's subliminally comfortable around her, likely because she's shown them before. If the theory about Agnes being Agatha is true, then she could have helped her to enhance her abilities, and then together the pair created this reality. This would explain why Agnes isn't really alarmed at any point and seems to know what's going on whilst the
I never thought about that. I never thought about that.
Jump back to the Sword Outpost and we see Jimmy carrying some coffee cups that actually look like they have the pattern on them that appears in the credits at the end of every episode. This is probably just a bit of a fun nod. However, this pattern did sort of appear on Geraldine's dress in episode 2,
that's so
it may
weird,
have
dude.
a deeper meaning. And they deduce that she doesn't really have the power to pull this off, but Monica shuts it down by saying that she could have taken out Thanos, which she could have, to be fair. Now the conversation moves to Captain Marvel, and Monica quickly changes the subject. This could be taken a number of ways, and the pair may have met since the 90s, or perhaps she views the character as abandoning her and her mother.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It is when you have a friend and you haven't seen them for a while and you just want to play it cool. Well, I kind of feel like that's what's going on here, rather than her being angry or bitter. They also realize that Monica's uniform was transformed into Geraldine's outfit, and this confirms that the sword necklace was indeed her name badge. This does show that items created in the Hex can indeed leave it, and thus it is possible that, down the line, Vision does and has been made invincible once more.
Right.
Now they realize that they can send an email in, and we cut to Vision's work, aka the computational services, which were last seen in the first episode. This details to Vision a lot of what Wanda is doing, and he snaps Norm out of his hypnosis, which reveals just how frightened he is. Now though it seems to point to Wanda doing it, Norm
this
says
was creepy.
she rather than her name. She could of course apply to Agnes as well, and if we're right about this, then we won't look like an idiot for banging on about this theory for the last 10 minutes. Now we watch Wanda looking over Billy and Tommy, and the conversation quickly moves to her brother Pietro. Similar to the two children, Wanda and her sibling are unidentical twins, and it is possible that the children were brought in to plant the idea for her to...
You know who else is an identical twin? Hey, I'm just saying, Chad. I'm just saying. I'm part of that species too, yo.
...manifest the character at the end of the episode. I kind of feel like Wanda may have made a deal with the devil, and that it's had a monkey's paw effect, so instead of bringing her true brother back, it's brought a Pietro across from an alternate dimension, aka the X-Men universe. Using a drone, Sword infiltrate the Hex, and Wanda comes out wearing the costume that we saw her donning in Avengers Endgame. She's absolutely furious with the group and makes it clear that as long as they stay out of their home, they'll be absolutely fine. With all guns pointed at her, she decides to mind control all the gods, and they then turn their weapons on Hayward. Now whilst this does back up the idea that Wanda can control people's minds, we can see their eyes glowing red, which isn't present in the town members, who seem to be under her control. I know I'm in the minority here, thinking that she's not the big bad. But I do feel like she is being
Okay. So basically what you just said is when they're under her control, their eyes get red, but the people in the town's eyes aren't red, so maybe she's not controlling all the people in the town. That is interesting. Wow, that is very
A
interesting.
giant red force field around the town, and this will likely mean that no drones or members of SWORD can waltz in anymore. Cut to the commercial, and we see the woman returning with her 2 kids. Now, it's very similar to the one shown in episode 3 style-wise, and it is possible that her children also reflect Wanda's pair. Using a Lagos brand of paper towel, she sweeps up the mess, and this name actually calls back to the city from
Yep.
the opening of Civil War. So far, the commercials have pulled from Stark Industries, Strucker, Hydra, and this, and now we can pretty much guarantee that they all derive heavily from large moments in Wanda's life. It's also possible that they pull from the Infinity Stones, as the toaster could be in line with the Mind Stone, the watch dealt with time, and the Hydra soap box did look like the Tesseract. Lagos is red, similar to the Reality Stone,
Oh,
making it seem like Wanda may also be being used to create the Infinity Stones once more.
whoa! I can't believe you noticed that. That's
And then have a
crazy.
conversation with the postman. Again, this seems completely out of nowhere, and it's pretty pointless in the grand scheme of things.
How do you find that
unless
out?
He
It's
is
nuts.
the person under witness protection. In episode 2, Agnes pretended to shoot him, and he said, "I'm just a messenger."
Yeah.
And this time, he says the dog is sure to turn up. I do think that he's the one, and his scenes are hinting towards that if you look closely enough. He also didn't appear on the board with the IDs, hinting at Jimmy potentially keeping him out of the lineup. The missing dog
Oh,
was
so he
somebody
could be
who's
the missing
witness
person.
protection
Okay.
person, and I do think that the theory lines up. Now, Wanda seems to avoid wanting to bring the dog back to life, and she states
By the way, I love the twins apparel. It's like their colors in the comics. Love it.
that she can't reverse death, making me believe that it was actually the Grim Reaper that resurrected Vision and not her. Viz arrives, and it's not too long before he and Wanda have a confrontation in their home. Though
Right.
It was absolutely hilarious how, rather than having a difficult talk, Wanda just started to roll the credits.
Yeah.
And this was one of the best ways to use the sitcom device that I think we've seen so far. Vision is furious that Wanda seems to be doing all this, and I actually think that he will break free of this puppeting at some point.
Oh,
This could be a slight nod to
100%.
Ultron, who in the MCU was very much created as something to be controlled himself, but he managed to break his bonds. Ultron was of course Vision's
He'll be
creator,
back.
so it could be very much a like father, like son pattern here in terms of evolution. In Avengers Age of Ultron, the villain of course did the big monologue about how there were no strings on him, and even the
Right.
credits of the show seem to link in with his mainframe tackling Jarvis, who of course was also brought across in Vision. Thus, it could be
Yeah, a little
set
bit.
up here that SWORD will also view him as a killer bot that they have to take down before it carries out another Sokovia level event. Tensions escalate and Vision goes absolutely crazy, but Wanda manages to bring him down by reminding him that he's Billy and Tommy's father. However, things go further into this when Vision realizes that there's no other children in Westview. Wanda slowly starts to question why he feels like she's in control of everything, and she says she doesn't even know how things got like this in the first place. Rather than resetting time though, whoever is behind the show throws a curveball at her with the arrival of Evan Peters. Now this is sort of a callback to the Vision and Scarlet Witch graphic novel, as in that she opened the door to find her father there. However, here it's her brother, and I think Darcy
Right.
spoke for the entire audience when she said they recast Petro, huh? Now this obviously opens up a lot of questions, including
Yeah.
why is not Aaron Taylor Johnson's version. Wanda seems lost, but she goes along with it and hugs him, likely meaning that we will be getting more surprises down the line. Now it is possible that due to Quicksilver's speed, that he was actually able to run fast enough to break through the multiverse, similar to the Flash. However,
Kind of,
he may
yeah.
have also been brought across by Agnes and Mephisto, but now we know that the X-Men can officially come into this universe.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we weren't getting more of them down the line,
Yeah.
which I'll be talking about in the leaks section of the video. As for the episode itself, I genuinely feel like this gets better each and every week.
Bro,
I was a bit unsure on the
I
show
literally
for the first
tweeted
two
it out.
episodes, as they felt a bit difficult to get into for me due to not really knowing the context or fully getting the references to the old 50s and 60s sitcoms. I know some people loved it and others felt the same as me, but I'm glad that everyone's just stuck with it, as it's been such a good show so far.
Oh,
and it's pretty much
100%.
my only reason for living at this point. This is the definition of a slow burn, but I'm so glad that the MCU is taking massive chances like this, as it allows them to explore new avenues and also branch off into the wackier side of Marvel.
All right, guys. Well, that was the video. This video is probably already long. I just want to say one thing before anything. Quicksilver appearing in here. If you kind of connect the timelines, right? Quicksilver in X-Men is set in the 80s. When they go to him, it is set in the 80s, and this sitcom is set in the 80s. So maybe that connects in some way. Just wanted to point that out because I saw someone say it while I was in Cosmic Wonders live stream, and someone said that, and then I realized that it was. But yeah, I hope you guys liked the video. Tell me your thoughts on the episode, this breakdown on everything, guys. Like I said, please do not forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to follow my Twitch. The link is below. And yeah, it's been your boy Keezy. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.